You know, last time I told a really great, funny story. I'm not going to do that tonight. I wanted to tell a story about my favorite cousin. She and I were the same age on both sides of our families, and we were thick as thieves as soon as we were able to walk. Whenever we had our family reunion in southwest Missouri, and we'd have it usually at her mom's house. It had this dining table that would hold more food than could be eaten in all of Africa, presented by everybody. And that would be our time after dinner to run upstairs to the attic and hide, because we were the dishwashers. And, you know, they'd call our names, Janet Lee Cole, get down here, and Larita Jean. I mean, you know, we were like giggling upstairs, and finally she would, her mom would send her older sister, who surprisingly, or not so surprisingly, became a high school librarian. She was one of these people. And so she would come up and scold us, and we'd go back down and, you know, throw water on each other and still get the dishes done. But one time in particular, I came, I think we were about 7 or 8 years old at that point. And the clue always was the same intro for us. We'd walk in the room, and her dad would say, "Don't get near that bull in the pasture." "Yes, sir." Off we went, because that's what you do when you don't do it. So we get up there, and we're chucking rocks at the bull, and he's not paying any mind to us. And that's not good enough. So we climb over the barbed wire fence, and we get in the pasture with him. And he's just still got his back to us. We're like, oh man, so I'm out doing my best, Toro, Toro! And he still was sitting there until Rita, down dog. Rita hits him in the back of the head with a little rock, and he turns around and he puts one hoof down and scratches dirt, puts the other one down and scratches dirt, and does a very quick pirouette coming our way. And my cousin yells, "Run!" like I needed an invitation. And we hit the barbed wire fence at the same time, but my cousin being a little leaner and me always being the husky cousin, she got over the fence before I did, and I got up to the top, and the fence collapsed underneath my weight. And it ripped all my skin in between my thighs with barbed wire. And I'm in tears. I hit the dirt. The bull's gone. We don't even know where the bull is. My cousin comes back. "Oh man, did you see that bull? We really got him good," as she's helping me get up. And I thought, you are my favorite cousin. I knew that already. And so as we laughed about it and went on downhill, every summer after that, we told each other that story. "Oh, remember that time the bull, blah, blah, blah?" You're like, "Yeah, we got him good. The little Toro really pissed him off." So as we aged, we got into other things. You know, we turned 13, we started smoking cigarettes, because that's what you do in a small town with one stoplight. We would borrow her dad's pickup truck, big green pickup truck that everybody all over town already knew that we shouldn't be driving it, and we're popping the clutch and pulling wheelies out at the one stoplight. Well, interesting enough, as we got to high school, and my plans were to go to college, because that's what you just did where I lived, but for her it was a little bit different. And the summer I decided to go to school. I went to see her at the family reunion one more time, and she'd gotten pregnant. And the guy decided he would make an honest woman of her. And we laughed about that because it was way too late for that. And I really liked this guy, Chris, because I did my first lines of coke with Chris and Rita before I went off to college, because why wait till you get to college? So I go the next year, and Chris is not around. He's been sent to prison for 2 years for dealing coke. And Rita and I wondered, where are we going to get her a coat this year? Not the fact that she had now 2 young boys, sons, to raise. So her life really took this dramatic turn, and I just was going off to college because I didn't know what else to do other than drugs. So she, next year, she has a new boyfriend, Mike. He's a rabid St. Louis Cards fan. I'm like, I'm in heaven. This is the nicest guy she's ever dated. So they get married, and that's the year the Cards go and win the World Series. And I'm so excited to go spend the summer, and we're going to sit and drink beer and throw things at the TV and raise hell and watch the ball games. I get there, and Mike has left Rita with a baby girl. I said, well, what happened to Mike? She goes, he was trash. Wow, that's pretty wild. So I wondered about that a little bit, but you know, it's her life. She said, well, how's it going for you? I said, I don't know. I'm having another identity crisis. You know, stay tuned. What else is going to happen? But again, more drugs, more alcohol, more of this, more of that. And both of our middle names became Moore. It didn't matter what it was. I said, well, you're cranking these husbands out, so leave me off that list. But so she writes me a letter, and it's a summer in between, after I graduated from undergraduate. I couldn't find a job, as usual. And she wrote me a letter and said, I've met the nicest guy in the world. I'm really in love with him. His name is Burton, and he's a truck driver. And you're just going to love him. He is just this biggest teddy bear. Well, that summer, I went and I met him, and she was right. He was the greatest guy in the world. He was so good to her. But he had one request. He wanted her sober. And so she asked me, well, have you tried any of that stuff to, you know, clean up? And I'm like, yeah, I have. I'm there. I'm doing it with the group, you know. She's like, this is such a small town. I don't know about that. I said, it's the only thing I've found that works. So she calls me. She said, well, this is much later. She calls me and she said, I'm picking up my 1-year chip. I said, that is fabulous. Good for you. And she says, how many chips do you have? I said, well, I have a whole shoebox full of the kind you don't want, and I have 3 to demonstrate 3 years. And she said, wow, that's terrific. That's a long time. I said, so's a year. So we went on about our merry ways, and the next summer I came because our favorite aunt had died. And this Aunt Pauline, she let me wear the nastiest, dirty cowboy hats I could find, thrown away in the closet, and a pair of her husband's old cowboy boots that stunk to high heaven because he worked with cows. But those were the possessions that she would allow me to wear all during my summer from age 5 up, you know. So I go and I tell Rita, I'm going to stay with you, and then, you know, we'll work out the rest of it. The funeral's Saturday, blah, blah, blah. She said, okay. So the next day I get there, and we're really kind of caught up in all the family stuff, and I said, you know, I got to go to bed. I am just beat. If I have to be nice to one more person, I'm going to slap them. So she said, yeah, me too. Next morning, she meets me at the breakfast table with a pint jar, a ball jar of rosé. And I said, Rita, what's this? And she said, oh, really, it's not that bad. And I said, Rita, when will you know that it's that bad? She said, Billy, it's okay. I just couldn't do it. It was too hard. So I just shook my head. Unfortunately, that's the last time I saw Rita. She died in her sleep 2 years ago, April. And her son at the funeral let me know that she had been getting some pills from her doctor to help her with her nerves. And I knew all about those nerve stories. And I think I probably am the only family member that recognized it was obviously accidental overdose. And when I talked to her sister about it, her sister said, well, you know, I found her, and thank God, you know, the kids didn't have to come in. All her kids now are adults, of course. So when I found her, you know, I just cleaned her up a little bit and changed the sheets and washed those. And it made me think there was a little more to that story. And I said, Sherry, you know, sometimes we just have to let go. And what I wondered about all of it was, why wasn't it me instead of her? Thanks.